What's going on, everybody? It's WebsterStyle Brian Sapph here with another edition of the NRW Checkpoint. Brian, my brother, how are you doing today?
Doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing all right. Now, before yesterday, at least at the time I was recording, I figured news-wise it would be talking about the Microsoft Partner Preview, but unfortunately, that's not the news we're talking about for news.
Right.
I think arguably the influence or someone who influenced a generation to love and discover anime passed away yesterday. Akira Toriyama, creator of Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, everything that is Dragon Ball, passed away yesterday. And this is coming up gaming because he was also responsible for creative directing for the past few many games. What Blue Dragon RPG came out on the Xbox 360 era. The Dragon Quest series he's done the past 3-4 of those has been the creative director, so all of the characters look like his sort of designs and countless other games. But his legacy is, like, as far as American, let's be frank, Black people.
Right.
There is something about Dragon Ball Z that just translated. It hit at the right time as far as Toonami, because I was like, you're a bit young, but I was in grad school and I've been in anime since high school. And I heard about Dragon Ball Z in high school with cats sub copies, but it's something about it hitting Toonami, and that was like so many generations, my generations, your generations, and again, especially Black culture, and not saying it didn't spread, but there's something about how Dragon Ball Z resonated with Black culture at the time in the early 2000s, late 90s, that just set a fire in consumption of anime amongst Black culture. And it's amazing to think that like so much of that was a gateway for other stuff for so many people. And it's very hard, I should say, you can't really point to too many other pieces of anime as a gateway for so many of different generations than Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball Z particularly because I remember when Dragon Ball came on, I had no interest in Dragon Ball.
Okay.
I didn't have an interest in Dragon Ball Z at first because I'm like, oh, it's just, Dragon Ball. Like, I thought Dragon Ball was cutesy. I didn't really storytelling, but I didn't get into Frieza. I got in with the Cell Saga.
Okay.
And just the drama with that. And I just remember us all, like, again, I was in grad school, so I was like, I was grown, I had my apartment and everything. Like, we going back, like, my boy, my friend, like, we on the phone watching it as it happened. Like, it was water cooler talk at that point in time in my age group. And there is no other anime series, I think, that has that sort of widespread sort of appeal like Dragon Ball Z did at that time.
I agree.
And like he has left an indelible mark on anime, period, because Dragon Ball Z was such a gateway for so many people.
Right. I agree. Yeah. So I don't know, man. It was weird hearing it because I'm like, he did what? But it's like, I mean, these things happen. Apparently, it was a heart failure, I believe. Something.
It was a hematoma, subdural hematoma. So like I think it's a blood clot or something like that.
Yeah, something of the sort. Either way, yeah, I agree with everything you said. I don't know. I can't necessarily put my finger on what it was about Dragon Ball Z that endeared Black culture to it so much, but it resonated heavy. Maybe it was Goku's like just experience, like, not being from Earth, but still very much considering himself or being made to be a part of the situation, sort of like, what we go through, not necessarily being from America, but like this is our home, so that's all we know. I don't know. It was interesting because, like you, well, no, I watched Dragon Ball Z from the beginning. Like
Mm-hmm.
coming to Earth, you know what I'm saying? He getting chased by Raditz and the Ginyu Force and everything like that. Like I was there from the beginning and going all the way. It's interesting because I watched Dragon Ball Z first, and then because I was so interested in Dragon Ball Z, like in between sagas when they would take little breaks, I would go back and watch Dragon Ball just to catch up on the story because you don't realize until you in it, like, oh, Goku has known Krillin and Bulma for like a long time since he
Right.
was a kid and stuff. So, besides that, yeah, Toriyama left like a huge like just imprint on Black culture with those characters, and even some other ones, but definitely being a gateway to other anime. Like I don't
Yeah.
think Toonami would have had the influence that it had without
Mm-mm.
Dragon Ball Z.
No, not at all. Dragon Ball Z being on that block opened up a lot of people to watching it, and with that, they were able to really showcase a lot of anime that people would have never seen. Because honestly, like I said, like I was in anime in high school, trading VHS tapes in high school, and we there just wasn't you had a lot, but you didn't have a lot, if that makes sense, of selection when it comes to when it came to what you could buy for anime. And again, Dragon Ball Z just in that popularity. And also, I think at that time, DVD as well, because DVD was just becoming popular. So it was a lot easier
More
to
accessible,
sell, right? More accessible. But it was the perfect storm of everything. And it really was something to behold. And it was and it's interesting because I feel bad for younger generations at times because, well, no, because the generations now has so much anime at their disposal.
Yeah.
And again, I'm sure our parents feel the same about us. Like you had to be there to really understand the culture significance. Now Dragon Ball Z is so ubiquitous when it comes to anime, pop culture, whatnot. But to be there when it first just really exploded and to see it happen and to see it really capture the masses around you and the, like you said, subsequent impact of what it had on Toonami, Cartoon Network. It was something to live through that, to experience that is just amazing.
Yeah. And it's crazy because it's just like, I mean, we've seen that kind of happen again with other anime, but like all of those anime are like directly influenced by Dragon Ball Z and everything that it did. I agree with you. I will also it became conversation. Like just the Cell saga was amazing. The whole tournament arc and everything like that. The Frieza saga was probably the one that really like kicked it off. The storytelling, just amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think people. I know we give Akira Toriyama, his flowers for character design, but like the storytelling that was happening in these anime is also like I don't know a shonen anime like before Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, that long form storytelling was just something else to have you hooked. I mean, again, as someone who grew up on soap operas, Dragon Ball Z is a soap opera.
Yes,
seriously, that's what it is. It's like Kuya and I, we talk about wrestling. It's a soap opera. And it's exactly what it is. And it had all the hooks of watching Young and Restless and all that, but with anime and fights and just the drama, it was so addictive. And it hit Toonami because it had been in American TV before. Like I know the original Dragon Ball was syndicated, but it was the perfect storm of everything.
Yeah, Toonami, it had the perfect block, like all the kids getting out of school and stuff, or not even kids, but just everybody. It's that time period where like you first getting home from whatever your day was, and it's like there on TV. The story's happening. You remember what happened last time on Dragon Ball Z. Like you remember all of it, and I don't know. That's really dope. I didn't realize how much Akira had like imprinting on my personal life until this news hit. Cause I'm like, damn man, like if it weren't for Dragon Ball Z, man, I don't know if I would have been so heavy into anime. Like it really like opened my eyes and made me want to explore what else was out there.
And you are part of that generation. Cause I even remember, cause I think about, this is what, 95, I think. 95 is when Ronin Warriors, and I forget the Japanese title, like that hit.
Yeah.
And that was one of those ones that was like water cooler. Cause I remember that summer I was working a summer job and my crew, like that's what we talked about the next day, like the next episode. But again, that was a microcosm. Like people remember that. And like those who are really into that, like understood, but Dragon Ball Z, that spread across just those of us that were in the anime.
Right.
Like that became a pop culture phenomenon.
Yes.
And just opened the door to for so many people to anime. And it is weird to think, like we always talk about, people talk about Miyazaki and the quality of Studio Ghibli and what they do. People talk about the like how wonderful and how amazing Neon Genesis Evangelion was. But when it comes to the US, let's be real.
Dragon Ball
Z. The one that really was the gateway to kick the door open for everybody else to come in was Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
Period. And we have, I think, in many respects, arguably, and I think we'll all argue this point, that without Dragon Ball Z, without Akira Toriyama, we wouldn't have Megan Thee Stallion at Crunchyroll dressing like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure or what. Like, we would not have that sort of saturation of anime in our culture today, like we have it now, without DBZ really hitting the way it did in the United States.
I agree. I would say Dragon Ball Z and also Pokemon. Those two anime being out at the same time, showcasing the different side of the genre. Like I feel like, because I want to say Pokemon kind of started off a little earlier than Dragon Ball Z as far as like popularity is concerned, but like once Dragon Ball Z kind of like fixated itself within the cultural zeitgeist, and people started to see like, oh wait, this anime is about like catching monsters and battling those, but then this one got like a whole story and these people fighting as martial arts or whatever.
Right.
That really like just opened the floodgates, and it was like, okay, what else is out there? Of course, Toonami had a powerful, like I said, time slot, so they was able to stick in stuff like Sailor Moon, and you see like, oh, okay, so the girls got their own there's a more feminine side of anime.
Because even Sailor Moon came out before Dragon Ball Z did, but again,
but
it's all about it's all about positioning. Like, I think in Baltimore growing up, Sailor Moon syndication, because they came when I was in high school.
Okay.
That was like in the morning. Like, they didn't show it like being a syndication. It didn't have that set time frame. With Toonami, you knew when it was on every day, every single day. And I think that really helped in general. But we can talk about this forever. Let's get into some games. I think I might boot up Blue Dragon this weekend and go into that. And it might be our next Game Bites. Who knows?
Right. I was thinking about that because they had they just put one of the Dragon Ball Z games on the PlayStation
there you
Plus thing. I was thinking about either loading that up or DBZ Fighters, because I really like fighters. Now I fell off a little bit because that online aspect is tough. People know how to fight, but I have to boot that up for Toriyama, because that, I don't know, even that, just thinking about his impact on the gaming world, like
exactly,
fighters were Tekken and Mortal Kombat and Soul Calibur and stuff. Like, fighting was fighting, and then when we introduced like Dragon Ball Z Budokai and stuff like that, another shift happened just with those characters and the ideas for Toriyama. So just RIP to him. That's all I want to say.
Right.
Because impact.
So so let's get to the games. First up is the title is interesting, but it is Quilts and Cats of Calico. Of course, I guess if you have cats, Calico has to be in there. And it's actually a puzzle game. So in this case, Quilts and Cats of Calico is a wholesome, award-winning, complex puzzle game for 1 to 4 players. Meet adorable cats and sew the coziest quilts. Compete with other players in multiplayer mode. Play solo or delve into the story of a quilter sewing their way through the city of cats. The city of cats. No, thank you.
You're not a cat person?
Oh, I like cats. Not
Okay.
a city of cats.
Not a city of okay. Understood.
Yeah, no, I'm good with that one.
That sounds interesting though.
Yep.
Let's see. Okay.
Next up, we have the Outlast Trials, and I'm sorry, Calico, that was on PC only. So the Outlast Trials is on PS4, 5, Xbox One, SX, and PC. You'll notice, Brian, and it's weird. What we talked about PlayStation a couple weeks ago, and they're talking about the downside, but we're still getting game releases that have additions on the PS4 and the Xbox One, like every week. So
yeah,
it's really strange.
It is.
But Outlast Trials, Red Barrels invites you to experience mind-numbing terror, this time with friends. Whether you go through the trials alone or in teams, if you survive long enough and compete the therapy, Mudcough will happily let you leave. But will you be the same? Now, I've never played any of the Outlast games, but I hear they're quite terrifying.
Really? Yeah, I've never tapped in.
I think we watched the trailer for one that came out not too long ago, and we were both like, okay, this is creepy looking.
Yeah. Outlast, I don't know. I don't think it's for me. Maybe watch them on Twitch, but I'm not playing.
Yeah, exactly. Not doing it. Next up, we have S.T.A.L.K.E.R. Legends of the Zone Trilogy, dropping on the Xbox One and PS5. So we didn't really cover this. We'll get to a little bit more of this later, but Microsoft had a developer preview this past week. And one of the surprise announcements, Shadow Drops or the only Shadow Drop, was I don't know if this is a remaster, but at least console versions of the first 3 Stalker games. Stalker 2 is been well delayed, but that will eventually come out and it's going to be dropping on Game Pass when it does happen. So this is a way to have those individuals who have never played it because it's been on PC play it. So the Legends of the Zone bundle includes all 3 games that make up the original Stalker trilogy: Shadow of Chernobyl, Clear Sky, and Call of Pripyat. S.T.A.L.K.E.R. was well received for its post-apocalypse alternative reality Chernobyl exclusion zone, as well as its non-linear storyline. Prequel Clear Sky followed in 2008 with sequel Call of Pripyat launching in 2010. Now this is the thing. This is the way you should do it if I'm marketing, and let me explain why. So the trilogy itself is $39.99. Okay. But you can buy the individual copies for $20 a piece. Why would you buy the individual games? What fool are you to buy the individual games when you get all 3 for literally $20 more? You save you save $20.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
But only thing I could see, only reason I would see somebody just buying the individual games is that they play, another one already. Like if they already beat 1 and 2, okay.
But this is the first time it's out on console, so this is console.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. So I'm like, that's weird and interesting, but hey, it's a way to force people to buy the bundle. I'm not mad at it.
And who's to say that bundle's gonna stay?
That's true. The bundle
take advantage now, guys.
Yep, exactly. That's what what Nintendo did with their Mario bundle.
Right.
All right. So next up we have Snufkin, Melody of Moominvalley.
That actually sounds familiar. Snufkin? Is that a
It does sound familiar, actually. We are not watching trailer for that, though.
Okay.
It's on the Switch and PC. It's Snufkin Melody of Moominvalley is a story-rich musical adventure about Snufkin restoring the valley and helping the quirky and memorable characters and critters who call it home. A series of hideous parks have cropped up. Why are parks hideous? Okay, cropped up in Moominvalley, disrupting the landscape and its harmonious nature. As Snufkin, you will distract police officers, pull out signs, and knock over misplaced statues as you vigorously try to restore nature and the inhabitants' home while putting an end to the industrious park keepers' plans. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
It is interesting. I was trying to like Google it to see what's going on. Like he a park ranger.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
All right. Next up, we have the Pirate Queen, a forgotten legend. This is on the Quest 2, 3, and PC. Again, why are not all these VR games coming out on the PlayStation VR 2? But that's another conversation.
Sony, you know what it is.
Yeah.
Damn Sony.
Yep. So the Pirate Queen is a multi-award-winning narrative adventure starring Lucy Liu. Climb aboard a 19th century Chinese pirate ship, explore moonlit cabins, unearth treasure, and embark on a journey to become the most powerful pirate of all time. I just added that in there. Do you have what it takes to be crowned the Pirate Queen? So that's a VR thing. So. All right, next up we have Unicorn Overload dropping on the PS4, 5, Xbox One S and X. Unicorn Overload, which is a great name, by the way.
Unicorn it is.
Overload. It's a tactical role-playing game developed by Vanillaware and published by Atlas in Japan and Sega Worldwide, set on the continent of Feverith. As it is consumed by war, the story follows exiled Prince Elaine as he gathers allies to take back his kingdom from the Zenorian Empire led by the rogue general Valmore. Gameplay follows Elaine and his army units fighting in large-scale battles with field movement and battles taking place in real time. So we are watching a trailer for that.
Okay, cool. I just pulled up some screenshots. The battle system, or at least the style of it, I'll say, like the art style, reminds me a lot of Fire Emblem.
Okay.
So this might be I might be interested in that.
All right.
What's the next game?
Next up is, well, we're going to finish the story, hopefully. WWE 2K24 dropping the PS4, 5, Xbox One, S, X, and PC. Curiously, no Switch version, but I heard last year people were just really doing the Switch version, so they may have dropped the Switch for a reason. Experience a grappling retelling of WrestleMania's greatest moments in 2K showcase of the Immortals in WWE 2K24, where you can relive a collection of some of the most unforgettable career-defining matches. So we're going to be looking at that, and especially with WrestleMania coming up in about a month's time, it's going to be very interesting. I've heard good things about 2K24 so far, at least based on what I've seen online, but I haven't watched any real reviews. But getting back to games with cool names, let's drop into the trailer for Unicorn Overload.
Liberate your kingdom. Reclaim your destiny.
'Tis a grievous tale which speaks of Fevrith, one of stolen destiny, stolen minds, and stolen nations. Yet as the world stands consumed by immense evil, a fallen prince shall rise again, ring of legend lighting his path.
That is the ring of the unicorn. Ancestral treasure.
Is it just me, or more and more of these games have this sort of flash game style of art design?
Yet the answer is clear as day now.
Yeah, I think
and all that remains now is to walk it.
I think because
walk it I will, Mother.
At least in my opinion, right? The Switch, we know it's not high on the list of graphically capable pieces of hardware. So I think Resident Evil trying to, or developers trying to go to a route, they want to make everything look,
60 unique characters,
you know, like it could be played on the PlayStation or something. They going kind of dial it in another direction to really take, to utilize how like bright and colorful you can make days, months,
or even years.
It just, this art style, like it's not, it doesn't look like very, it do look like very Flash player,
yeah,
but at the same time it's also very like
Unicorn Overlord.
I still feel kind of fresh. I guess because most
March 8th, 2024.
You know, you think about games, you think about the super graphic games that you'll find on Xbox and PlayStation. Right. I don't know. It's to a point now where I feel like most Switch games are gonna be like that, just because Switch kind of has I guess what would you call that? Something about the Switch made people just think, you know, colorful, bright, not super graphically heavy games.
Yeah, I just It's rubbing me the wrong way. I mean, I know it's a lot more detailed. It's a lot more bright and colorful, and I'm not even putting this all on the Switch.
Mhm.
I'm just seeing more and more of these type of games specificically who are
Mhm.
taking this sort of art style. I forget this game I played on the Xbox that's on Game Pass is it's like a prequel to a bigger game that's coming out. And it has the same sort of flash style sort of characters and movement, and it reminds me of playing like a mobile game from 10 plus years ago.
Yeah.
And it's not, I don't know, it makes, this is my opinion.
Mhm.
It feels cheap to me. It really does. It does not feel like something I want to invest my time into because it feels cheap. It feels like they just, it to me, and again, I don't think this is the case considering the pedigree of this game, but when I see this sort of art style repeatedly, I think it is something that just does not say to me that you really put any time into art development. Is like cut and paste. But
Mhm.
also it just reminds me of mobile gaming, and it just feels cheap, like it's not worth the money that I'm paying for. And again, it's just a perception I have. I'm not saying that's the case for this game or any other game like that, but it's unoriginal and unimaginative when I'm consistently seeing games that have this very similar art style. And I can say that about a lot of games that sort of faux realistic cartoony art style too. Like we're
Mhm.
seeing a lot more of that. And again, I don't get the same cheapness, but
Mhm.
I get the same unoriginality. And
I get
that's for me becomes a turn off because I'm like, oh, it's like it looks like this, it looks like that. Like it doesn't stand out. And while it looked cool, it doesn't stand out to me as looking like a unique game. It looks like maybe 2 or 3 or 4 other games we've looked at before or we played before in the past year.
Yeah. That's
So
fair. I think that's fair. I think, well, at least for me personally, I don't know. This well, we didn't talk about who's the developer behind this.
it says
But
Vanillaware is the developer, is published by Atlas and Sega.
okay. So I don't know, because I'm looking at it now. I didn't realize this was also like on the PlayStations and the
Yeah.
Xbox and stuff. And it is interesting that they took that approach. I guess the only way I would give them a little grace for it is if the developers, the company is a little smaller, whatever. They just trying to get some games out there to build up momentum and funding to do something like more spectacular. But based on what I see here, at least for me, because I like turn-based tactical games like this kind of like I'm cool with this because it reminds me, like I said, like a Fire Emblem or something like that.
Mhm.
And it does feel kind of old, but I actually like that a little bit because Fire Emblem, there was a time where Fire Emblem kind of, like I said, looked like this, but only because it was like a handheld game, Switch, Game Boy Advance and stuff like that. I was
Right.
like, this kind of, what I'm saying is, there's an air of nostalgia there.
Understood.
And I don't mind that. But I
And
do
that's
see,
fair,
I
and I get
definitely
it.
see what you're saying though, because it's like, it could have been. We're in a different age now with technology.
Right.
But one trailer we got next.
Next up, WWE 2K24. Let's finish the story.
Remember this
Every once in
moment.
a while, I see clips.
How will it end?
Wrestling.
We decide.
I need to watch wrestling. I might want to get back into it. Outside of the,
Well, let me tell you, it's a good time to be a wrestling fan.
right. I mean, I'll be seeing what y'all got going on. Okay, maybe we can get back into it. Because I like that there's a story, like, there's a story amidst all of the athletics.
Right.
I actually think like basketball and football, like NFL, NBA, they kind of took a page from wrestling and kind of like giving us more of a behind the scenes look at those athletes or whatever to kind of build like some kind of story and character there with them.
Right.
Kudos to wrestling because it's been around for a long time.
Right. Exactly. It looks good. I need to watch some streams of people running it on Xbox Series X or PlayStation 5 because I want to see graphics like that we just saw. I know we're not getting seeing that on the PS4 and Xbox One. So, but yeah, so that was WWE 2K24. Next, let's see if we can outlast with the Outlast Trials.
The Outlast Trials.
You've been expressing anger in the therapy.
Everything Mother does is love. If I have to show a little discipline, that's just a firmer kind of love.
You've shown real enthusiasm. We've decided to give you a longer leash.
You think you got a leash on me? Might be you built this little got but I'm the one who made it a home. Why, you ain't nothing but the towel boy in my whorehouse.
The fuck you think I am? Some kind of puppet? You pull my string?
You're literally a puppet.
Don't you
now see,
Daddy?
the graphics here.
If we happen...
I'm fucking talking here! This ain't a charity, this is business! Business don't mean shit without the law.
Mother is the name of God in the midst of hearts of little children.
Property don't mean shit without a threat of violence.
Who would die for the children?
The threat of my fruit on your lips will pull out the red round here and everywhere.
Oh.
Well, what do you think?
Experience has taught me one truth about the human limits of terror and pain.
Which is?
There are none.
What?
Okay. People who make games like this, I always think of The Purge. Like, this is like their way of getting out all of the sort of inner turmoil and working out their inner demons. And it's very cathartic for them because the things that people think of in games like this truly scare me. Like, how did you think of that?
Like, what made your mind come to this place?
Right. Exactly.
I think oh no, you got to be a real horror fan to like, or at least hack and slash type movies in order to come up with some stuff like this. It looked good though. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah,
that was a good trailer.
It was.
I'm thoroughly like intrigued. Like, what's going on? Why is this happening? This Leatherface in there is. I mean, it just looked like I see other inspirations from
definitely a lot of inspirations from classic sort of that grindhouse sort of horror.
Yeah, so I'm cool with that. Universal, if you happen to stumble across this video, I think this will be an excellent house at Halloween Horror Nights. This is like a lot that you could do here.
Right.
That's all I'm gonna say. I don't know how the licensing and everything works. I'm not on the business end of anything. I feel like just based on what I saw there, and it'll be a house I would like to go in as well. It's something that's weird. Won't play horror games, but I might sit through a movie. Yeah, might sit through a TV show. Definitely doing the horror in Halloween time. I'm weird like that, but that trailer looks great. That's probably the best trailer so far.
I agree. So last we have a special sort of bonus.
What's that?
I talked about the Microsoft partner preview that came out this week. They dropped a bunch of trailers, and one of the trailers is a game actually they revealed. Microsoft has been doing a lot of reveals lately, so it's just I don't even remember when it's dropped. What this is Tales of Kenzera Zao. This is actually sort of a Metroidvania style game, and there's a lot of depth, sort of African spirituality inspirations, as well as the creator. One of the creators, he used it as far as a way of really talking about grief, and I believe it was the grief of losing his father. So I just thought that was just it really speaks to how powerful games can be. So I'm like, they dropped a new trailer. I'm like, let's watch it. Let's get into Tales of Kenzera Zao.
Yes.
Kalunga,
I remember
God
seeing
of
this.
death,
Well, not the trailer, but this
and why,
game.
Zao, have you called me to the realm of the living?
The creator,
It is told that there
he
are
was a
3 great
presenter
spirits who have denied you.
at the most recent video game
I
awards.
seek my Baba's return.
Right. Yeah, that's what it was. The Video Game Awards. Yeah.
Yeah, he talked about this.
Tales of
I'm glad it's
Kenzera
coming to
takes you
life,
on a
man.
journey through a
I
land
really want to
enriched
play
with
it.
myth
Like,
and
it looks
legend,
like a good
but torn
game.
apart
At least,
by illness
you
and
know,
tragedy. Grief is ever present here.
This
From the arid
is
deadlands, the harsh and unforgiving terrain, to the dense and dangerous forest floor of the woodlands, a place laden with mystery and fear. In your arsenal, you carry your late father's masks. The mask of
It
the
looks
moon,
to have a
which
lot
is
of
best
depth
for crowd
to it,
control,
which is
and the mask
outside
of
of
the
just the
sun,
visuals
chaotic
and
ballet
the
that
story
compels you to
behind
engage
it.
spirits in
Looks
melee
very
combat.
cool too.
The mask of the moon,
Oh, it is very cool.
the mask of the sun. You must embrace the dance of the shaman. Each ability gained by the player can be used both traversally as well as in the fray of combat. For example, take Akida's spear. Not only can it be used to activate elements that are out of reach, but also engage and pierce through multiple enemies at once. And with each small victory along your journey, you will grow and better yourself, obtaining powers and tools that allow you to turn the tides of battle in your favor.
The way you took that rojo out was amazing!
You should not sneak up on people, young shaman.
We are shamans, healers in a land long past healing.
The complexities of grief inspired the foundations of the world of Kenzera. You will be faced with intricate puzzles, arduous obstacles, and deceptive traps that demand both patience and skill to overcome. And though the path is fraught with adversity, an even fiercer battle rages within you.
That's a boss battle right there.
Mercy is a rare flower that blooms in the lands of Kenzera. But you can do this. I know you can.
You know, it's interesting, and I know that the Metroidvanias sort of types of games aren't new, but this, in many respects, and this is in a good way, reminds me of the Prince of Persia game that just came out not too long ago.
Definitely.
So I'm hoping that the success of that and the sort of the high profile of that kind of has long coattails, even though, again, it's not the same company, but the genre of game. I hope it's you know, it really extends the success to this game, because games like this, especially when news we got about EA the other week, games like this I want to succeed, and I believe this is like $40 or something like that, if I remember correctly last time I saw pricing on it. So it's obviously not a full price game, much like the aforementioned Prince of Persia game was. So these games are very accessible price wise, as well as very accessible as far as system availability as well. And so I'm looking forward to that one. That's one I'll probably pick up on day one when it comes out in April.
Me too. I'm definitely interested. I want to support. I really
definitely.
The creator, his story and everything about how he used, you know, creating this game to get through the grief of his father passing and stuff like that. That really like endeared me. I don't, you know, my father's still alive, but you know, losing family members, especially ones that rage, is never easy. So I like that game developers and creators and stuff like that. They're really tapping into being human when it comes to creating these games. It's not all like, oh, we just shooting bad guys and, you know, raiding dungeons and stuff like that. Like there's actually some kind of depth and some story there. And from what I could tell, I'm looking at the game right now on the Google. Got it's $18.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It says pre-order it on Steam, $17.99. PlayStation Store, $17.99. Same thing with Xbox.
Oh yeah, this is day one pickup, straight up.
Yeah, definitely. Even Switch, good. Yeah.
All right. So that's our games for the week. Brian, what's going on with you this week, man?
Nothing. I am just relaxing. Actually, I'm preparing an episode for the podcast, kind of going over my adult impressions and take on the X-Men cartoon series. Is in preparation for X-Men 97. I am like almost at the end of season 2, so I got 3 more seasons left to watch before 97 come out. But I'm seeing things as an adult that completely went over my head as a kid, and the storytelling here with these characters. I'm like, I'm glad that they're bringing this back around, because I don't know if I would have went back to the X-Men to watch, just watch it and try to analyze as an adult. So I'm happy about this, and I'm gonna talk about it on the pod as soon as I get to a place where I feel comfortable stopping. Because season 1 and 2, they've been good. And it's crazy because I remember some of this stuff watching it as a kid on TV, but then also I don't. So I'm like, okay, I'm seeing some stuff for the first time, as well as like remembering things. So that, and then outside of that, I'm relaxing. I'm getting ready to be doing a lot of traveling over the next like 3 months. So prepare for that. Outside of that, I ain't doing nothing else. What about you? What you got going on?
Well, I want to comment on what you said. That is, for all you people who are under the age of 18, adulting is a trap, just to let you know. However,
definitely. Don't believe this.
One of the joys about being an adult is going back and watching all of those things that you saw as kids and seeing in some cases, how good they are. Because there's certain things that you just don't realize as a kid, and how things are written, how things are done, especially stories and everything. You get a greater appreciation, the fact that there's so many things you enjoyed as a kid, but there's so many things that you see now through the eyes of an adult.
Yes.
That adds further weight to a story or what's happening. So that's one of the few things I really enjoy about being
about growing up, right?
Right. About growing up, that understanding, that wisdom. But as far as I'm concerned, this week so far, I dropped an interview with my man, my fellow king, my fellow UMass alumni, Malik Collins, talking about an issue or a subject that many of us don't talk about often, life insurance. So he talked to him about different types, and when is a good time to get life insurance, when is it not, what do you need? And I thought just having that discussion, a discussion that we don't have until it's too late.
Yes,
at times.
Definitely.
So had a real good conversation with him about that. The full video for the Washington DC Auto Show dropped. So if you missed all the segments, everything's all in one video for you to watch as well on the channel. And then also, by the time this drops, we'll probably have the new game bites, both at NRW as well as WebsterStyle.com, looking at an unknown, unsung classic fighting game, the Breakers Collection. So that's what's going on here. But of course, you work nerds with the world. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at News Wednesday, on X or Twitter at the NRW. And of course, you're currently on YouTube, so make sure you like, share, and of course, subscribe.